Thank you so much for joining us for Face the State. I'm Tracy Townsend. We start with President Joe Biden's visit to Ohio this week. He touted his infrastructure plan, which put construction into motion for the Brent Spence Bridge, which connects Ohio and Kentucky and is one of the most heavily traveled bridges in the nation. More than $1.6 billion in federal funding is going to the project. It's been in the works for almost 2 decades. Several political leaders were at the ceremony this week to celebrate the next big step.
We're finally going to get it fixed, folks. The unprecedented level of federal support that the bipartisan infrastructure bill has provided, both through the Bridge Investment Act and through the MEGA program and other programs, has given us the ability to finally move forward with this, and I'm really excited about it.
This is what bipartisanship in the United States of America should look like and does look like. As Rob said, after working on this for more than a decade, he's actually worked on this for 30 years. I've only worked on this for 15 or 16 years. We're finally going to build a new bridge. The federal government's finally doing its part to make this crucial crossing between Ohio and Kentucky safe and reliable.
I wanted to start off the new year at this historic project here in Ohio and Kentucky with a bipartisan group of officials because I believe it sends an important message to the entire country. We can work together. We can get things done. We can move the nation forward. We just drop a little bit of our egos and focus on what is needed in the country. For decades, people have talked about the Brent Spence Bridge. But folks, talking is over. The bipartisan infrastructure law, we're finally going to get it done.
Construction on that project is expected to start late this year. We want to take a closer look now at the impact that Biden's infrastructure bill will have on Ohio. The White House says there are more than 1,300 bridges and nearly 5,000 miles of highway in poor condition in our state. Since 2011, commute times have increased by 5.7% in Ohio. On average, each driver pays $506 per year in costs because of driving on roads in need of repair. Ohio is slated to receive $9 billion in federal funds to fix roads and bridges over the next 5 years. But the state says not all of that is new money. Most is what they receive every year. 10 TV's Kevin Lander shows us where Ohio is looking to spend it.
When it comes to roads, rail, bridges, and dams, Ohio earned a grade of C- when it comes to the health of its infrastructure, according to the American Society of Civil Engineers. By comparison, Michigan and West Virginia scored lower with a D- and D+. According to the latest bridge survey by the Franklin County Engineers Office, no Franklin County bridge is closed due to structural deficiencies or in serious or critical condition. However, there are areas of concern. Out of the 374 Franklin County bridges inspected, 47 are over 100 years old, 103 are over 75 years old, 11 bridges are rated in poor condition, and 30 are rated in fair condition. Franklin County has several projects planned for this year. Hayden Run Road over Scioto River is a bridge rehab project. Roar Road at State Route 317 involves the construction of a roundabout. Columbus plans to use the funding for this. It's the Link U.S. High-Speed Rapid Transit Program, which provides transportation solutions for a variety of age groups. The goal is to have it in place in the next decade. Ensuring Ohio's roads can support population growth are critical to the state's future. The state's roads and bridges carry the third highest freight volume in the U.S. and are the sixth most traveled.
That was 10 TV's Kevin Landers reporting. Right now, Columbus is also seeking $12 million for the Safe Streets for All grant. It will fund safety improvements to Livingston Avenue in the Driving Park neighborhood. That project is in the design phase. There are also some plans to use the money to expand residential recycling to a weekly service and request $4 million to fund 2 waste drop-off locations. There's a renewed effort to get AEDs in every Ohio school. Team trainers and doctors used one at the Bengals game in Cincinnati last week to get a Buffalo Bills player's heart beating again. Damar Hamlin suffered a cardiac arrest after a tackle. Well, right now in Ohio, there's no mandate that schools have AEDs. But 10 TV's Kevin Landers talked with a mom who says she's trying to change that.
Automatic external defibrillators can save lives, but they're not in every place where children play. A local mom is working to change that.
Go ahead and pass. Who are you passing to?
Soccer mom Jennifer Dunaway says she never leaves home without it.
I carry my own AED with me. Every field that I'm on has an AED on it because I have my own.
Smaller than a lunchbox.
If patient is a child, press child button.
This portable life-saving unit, similar to the one used to restart the heart of Buffalo Bills player Damar Hamlin, is something Dunaway says should be anywhere children or adults play, but it's not.
So that's exactly why I carry an AED with me all the time, is because I will not be a bystander in that situation.
State Representative Richard Brown tried to change the law to mandate AEDs be in every school.
And it died in committee and did not go any further.
Ohio law does mandate that at the start of every school year, parents and teachers understand the symptoms of sudden cardiac arrest and that each school have an emergency action plan on how to use AEDs.
But the current law does not require an automatic external defibrillator to be at the school.
Good pass.
As for Jennifer Dunaway, she says she'll continue to push lawmakers to make AEDs mandatory in school.
Cut or tear clothing to expose patient's bare chest.
And she hopes what happened on the field in Cincinnati Monday night will force someone to act.
If there's only one way to reduce the catastrophic effects of sudden cardiac arrest, and that's carrying an AED, then that's what I'm going to do.
While sudden cardiac arrest in sports is rare, it accounts for 39% of children 18 years or younger, according to the Sudden Cardiac Arrest Foundation. Kevin Landers, 10 TV News.
Representative Brown says he plans to introduce his AED legislation later this year. That Buffalo Bills-Bengals game was postponed after the horrible situation there on the field. It's one of the first games that was legal for sports betting in our state. The Casino Control Commission expressed support for Damar Hamlin, his family, and his teammates. Now, for anyone who placed bets on the game, the commission released these details. Each sports gaming operator has commission-approved house rules in place to govern events that are postponed or canceled. House rules are readily available on all operator websites, mobile applications, and at all sports gaming facilities. You should contact sports gaming operators directly with your questions. Now, where do the profits from sports gambling go? Similar to the Ohio lottery, the money will go to funding schools, but with a twist. Kevin Landers back now to explain that it's unclear how much each school district will get.
Inside Donneric's Pub in Reynoldsburg,
I think that the lowest wager when you create a ticket is $1.
bartender Brandy Gadram
Yep, I gotcha.
sees the odds of sports betting doing big business here.
It's going to be better for business for sure. I think it's going to bring out a lot of people.
At this bar, they use the sports betting app Sports Bet Ohio. Others use different apps.
Yeah, you can place a bet on literally anything.
Once you place a bet on your phone, it generates a QR code. That code must be scanned at the bar for you to receive a receipt that's used to collect your winnings.
Right now, we're only doing payouts once a week until we get the hang of like all the payouts.
Ohio's entry into the sports gambling world is expected to be a big win for school districts who see sports gambling profits as a way to fund extracurricular sports at elementary, middle, and high school levels.
I hope that's exactly where it goes, yeah. That'd be perfect. That's what they said about the lottery, too.
For now, sports gambling profits will go to the General Assembly, who will then distribute the funds to local school districts through what's called the Sports Gaming Education Fund. Some have estimated the breakdown as about $160 to $170 per student from sports betting.
If, the funds are going to go to education, of course, that's great.
What's unclear is if the legislature or the Ohio Department of Education will determine how much each school district receives in sports betting profits. Under the Ohio sports betting bill, distribution of money will be, quote, determined in appropriations made by the General Assembly, but doesn't say what process will be used to make those determinations. Meanwhile, bars like this one are eager to see what the sports betting appetite will be as patrons begin ordering a beer and a sports bet at the same time.
I've definitely had quite a few people place bets yesterday and today.
Ohio's gambling law requires that 98% of sports gaming profits support public and private schools. Half will go to extracurricular sports and the other half to K-12 education. 2% will be transferred to the Problem Sports Gaming Fund. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine did have a word of warning this week to sports betting services. The governor said his office has already seen ads targeting certain demographics and also offering false promises.
The companies that are doing the massive advertising need to be aware that they're being looked at very closely by the governor and the Casino Control Commission in regard to the statements that they are making. We believe that at least in several occasions they've already crossed the line. My message to them is this will not be tolerated in the state of Ohio. And I've talked directly to the executive director of the Ohio Commission and talked to several other members of the commission as well about my concerns about the advertising that is going on.
Ohio Casino Control Commission says it has notified 3 sports betting companies for violations of rules with their ads. BetMGM, American Wager, and Crown Ohio Gaming are all facing fines for $150,000 each for violating laws on responsible gambling. According to the commission, the ads made false promises about free betting. The main concern is people, especially young people, getting addicted to gambling. We talk with a psychiatric expert with Ohio State University about that concern.
Gambling disorder shares vulnerabilities with many other addictions, and these include our life experiences and our environment, and to some extent genetics. But the biggest risk factor really is availability. And what we know is that this recent change has dramatically increased the availability of gambling. It's really put it in our pocket on our cell phone 24 hours a day.
Now, we also looked at some of the signs that gambling could be a problem, including spending a lot of time thinking about gambling, lying to conceal your gambling, borrowing money to gamble, missing work, or failing to pay bills on time because of gambling. If you or a loved one has a problem, call the hotline on your screen, 1-800-589-9966. Well, it is something that takes countless lives every day, and our own Dom Taberry is on a mission to put a stop to it.
And we need to end this madness.
What happened this week to crack down on distracted driving in Ohio, and what advocates say still needs to be done? Plus, what Governor DeWine vetoed that could change the future of flavored tobacco in the city of Columbus. This week, the governor signed several bills into law.
All right, you got it.
That's the moment Ohio Governor Mike DeWine signed a law cracking down on distracted driving. When it takes effect, texting and driving will be a primary offense in our state. And that means you can be pulled over for even holding a cell phone while you're driving.
What the people of the state of Ohio are saying today through their legislature and through my signature is that distracted driving is a killer. It's unnecessary. And if we can eliminate distracted driving, we will save many, many, many lives. Last year, I asked the state legislature in my State of the State speech to pass distracted driving. I told some of the members of the General Assembly that probably at no time in their career would they have the opportunity to vote on a bill, pass a bill, where it was so certain that their vote in favor of a bill would save many, many, many lives. So by my signature today, we will begin to change the culture. We will save many lives. No one will ever know whose lives are saved. But we know with the signature on this bill today that many families will be spared the horror and tragedy of having a call, a visit from the Highway Patrol or the police to tell them that their child, their mom, their dad, their spouse is dead.
And that is exactly what happened to our own Dom Tiberi. He lost his daughter Maria in a distracted driving accident in 2013. Since then, his family has been devoted to teaching students, young people, about the dangers of distracted driving and creating stricter driving laws in our state. Dom was at the State House when that bill was signed.
In sports terms, this is a victory. This is a win for the state of Ohio. My prayer is that this will save lives. I believe it will. Every state that has enacted this type of legislation has seen a dramatic decrease in car crashes and deaths. You know, we'll rattle off statistics to you, but I want you all to remember one thing. Every statistic has a family. Every statistic has a mom and dad, a brother and a sister, grandparents that are missing that person. This is personal for me. It has become a mission. We need to change the culture. I agree 100% with the governor. It is so easy to tell you what distracted driving is. It's anything that takes your hands, eyes, or mind off your driving. It is texting and driving. It is using electronic devices. It is eating. It is everything that takes your mind. It's drinking alcohol. It's driving while under the influence of drugs. All those things are distracted driving. You can ask the colonel, he'll tell you it's underreported. I would argue that 80% of the crashes, maybe even higher, are due to some kind of distraction, and we need to end this madness. We are losing our youngest and our brightest on the highways. It's the leading killer of our children, and we need to end this madness.
If you would like to learn more about having Maria's message at your school, send Dom a message on Facebook or by email. Now, here's a look at some other bills that got Governor Mike DeWine's signature. Senate Bill 164, which changes the law and penalties on animal cruelty of a companion animal. And it also includes House Bill 462, which bans swatting in our state, as well as the Testing Your Faith Act. That's a law that requires Ohio public colleges and universities to allow 3 days of excused absence every year for religious observances. Schools will also be required to offer alternative accommodations for exams and missed classwork. Governor DeWine did veto one bill. He said no to state lawmakers who wanted a ban on certain tobacco bans. It's been a fight between city and state leaders for months now. It started when Columbus City Council passed a ban on flavored tobacco. Days later, the state legislature passed House Bill 513, which blocked the ban, which leads us to the veto by the governor. What's next? Well, the first question you might have is, can the state legislature override this veto? The answer is no. A new General Assembly has no power to override a veto on a bill from the previous session. So now 10 TV's Brittany Bailey looks ahead to a landscape where cities are free to enact their own bans.
This measure is not in the public interest, and therefore, just a few minutes ago, I have vetoed this bill.
That bill was House Bill 513, passed by the state legislature last month. It would have prevented municipalities from enacting tobacco laws that were more strict than state laws. Essentially, it would have put a ban on bans.
We're dealing now with young people's lives. And when a local community wants to make the decision to ban these flavors to protect their children, we should applaud those decisions.
In fact, a local community did do that. Last month, just before that state bill passed, the Columbus City Council passed a ban on the sale of flavored tobacco products in the city. It is set to go into effect January 1st of next year. Health leaders spoke in support of such efforts.
And there's no doubt that efforts to prevent our young people from suffering from the scourge of becoming addicted to harmful tobacco products is certainly in everyone's best interests.
When we talk to kids, when we survey kids that are initiating with these vaping products and we talk to them personally, their number one reason for trying this and starting it has to do with the flavoring.
But business owners are now worried about a loss of money or more.
The concerns are if they wanted to do a statewide ban, that would have been great. Right now, they're just going to push money out of Columbus into Worthington, Hilliard, Galloway. It's just going to take money away from Columbus.
That was Brittany Bailey reporting. We did ask city leaders about the plans to help tobacco shops. Councilmember Shayla Favor says it's all part of an ongoing conversation.
And so how do we prepare our business owners for the changes that are coming down the pipeline? And then the other conversation is how we can assist our business owners who have relied on harmful products like tobacco to provide other products that would be more beneficial and that are sought after by our residents in our communities, especially where we have food deserts and things like that around the city of Columbus.
City leaders in Bexley have been talking about a ban similar to the ban in Columbus. That will be up for discussion again when council meets on January 10th. The sale of flavored vape products is already banned in city limits. Doctors across the country are concerned about a new COVID-19 strain. We asked the director of the Ohio Department of Health about it. Senator J.D. Vance sworn into the U.S. Senate earlier this week. Vance took the oath of office with former Ohio Senator Rob Portman and current Senator Sherrod Brown standing next to him. Closer to home at the Ohio State House, the Ohio House voted to pick a new speaker. Originally, Representative Derek Marin tentatively won that job, but in a surprise move, the Ohio House picked Republican Jason Stevens. Stevens is from the 93rd District, which is in southern Ohio. COVID-19 numbers in our state are back on the rise. The Ohio Department of Health reported nearly 14,000 new cases this week. That's an increase of more than 800 from last week. And ODH reported more than 700 new hospitalizations, which is 100 more than last week. Senior officials from the World Health Organization say China's COVID-19 data isn't as accurate of a picture of what's happening. National health leaders warn the new COVID-19 variant is the cause of a surge in hospitalizations. Experts say this new variant, XBB, is the most contagious. Here's the director of the Ohio Department of Health.
One of the things we have to remember about this virus is it is, of course, evolving in a way that is allowing it to spread more easily from person to person to person. Really, the question for us should be is how well protected are we, though, from severe illness? And our vaccines are holding up very well in that regard.
Dr. Bruce Vanderhoff encourages those who are at high risk for serious illness from the virus to wear a mask indoors and when they are, especially with large groups of people. We thank you so much for joining us here on Face the State, and we wish you a great week.